Hi guys, Ricky and Mike here again with the Speaking Nerdy podcast, and this week we are going to be talking about episode 4 of Secret Invasion. Can't wait. Well, Mike, how are you doing today?
Well, I've been trying to improve my vocabulary and my reading. You know, when I was younger, I didn't read so fast like the other kids in school. So, I thought, I'm going to take up a class. So I started doing a speed reading class. And I thought it would be kind of cool. So far I can read War and Peace. I know that's a big book, but I thought, I started reading War and Peace, and I did it in 10 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you read all of War and Peace in only 10 seconds?
Well, it's only 3 words. I mean, it's a start.
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. 3 words.
3 words.
Well, tonight we've learned some new stuff on the new show that's coming out. Yes, my, definitely. So last week we're just gonna, I guess let's do our spoiler alert, because tonight we're gonna talk about episode 4 of Secret Invasion. And yes, we're going to talk about everything. So if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Come back.
Pause right now. Come back.
That's right. That's right. Let's not pause for them. Let's them pause. But yes, let's go ahead and do that right. That was your warning and your only warning. And so we have a lot of stuff coming up. So let's go ahead and start with some, I'd like to call nerdy happenings of the.
It's time for the nerdy happenings of the week.
That's right.
It's
that's your
time
jam.
For the nerdy happenings of the week.
That's your jam right there, buddy. That's like, your jam.
That's like the radio DJ voice going on.
I know. It puts a standard.
Stacks of wax on them.
That's right. Put on those records, man. Put on the records.
All right.
What do we got going on?
I do have some nerdy happenings of the week. So let's start, because one of my favorite things is box office numbers. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
Quick box office, rather lackluster this week. Number 1 in the box office, movie I've never heard of. Mm-hmm. From a horror movie series I'm not familiar with, called Insidious: The Red Door. This is
never heard of it.
The 5th installment of this
really
horror franchise. I am not familiar with. Now, for those of you who love this franchise, I apologize. It's just not my thing.
No,
but. No. Even coming in number 1, $33 million at number 1, which is really low. So, and it is getting pretty poorly reviewed for the movie franchise. But it still beat out the second week of Indiana Jones, which only came in at 26 million.
Ooh.
Yeah, worldwide, Indiana Jones is right now at 247 million, which, from what I'm reading online, might not cover production cost. Definitely doesn't cover production and advertising, for sure.
Oh, man.
So that one is not doing well, and it seems to be doing even less well in the U.S., because I think... overall, like, more than half of that is everything outside domestic.
The piece of it. The whole piece of it. Ball and wax. Well,
and kind of crazy box office weekend there. Then Hollywood Reporter is reporting. Hollywood Reporter is reporting. Says that they have confirmed that Jennifer Garner is going to reprise her role as Elektra. And
Interesting.
we have not seen her as Elektra since her first appearance was the 2003 the 2003 Daredevil movie. And her second appearance, yeah, exactly. And her second appearance was in 2005 in the Elektra movie, her movie. But my guess is her being confirmed has been fueling the reports that Ben Affleck is going to reprise his role as Daredevil in Deadpool 3. So I don't know about that.
I mean, they're saying that Deadpool is part of. I mean, Feige said that officially a while back that Deadpool is part of the MCU universe. So I think Charlie Cox. Yes. I mean,
But now, that being said, the other things they're talking about this movie, it is going to be time travel. It is going to be multiverse.
Oh, well, there you go. They got it covered. Okay.
Pretty much anything goes in this film.
And being Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool movie.
Yeah, it is going to be a Deadpool movie, so it's going to be completely bizarre. Anyway, so Vanessa, Blind Owl, Dopinder are all supposed to be back. And Rob Delaney is supposed to reprise his role as Peter.
Awesome.
The only X Factor member that did not have a horrible death.
And the only one that didn't and the only one that didn't have superpowers. So there you
only
go.
One without superpowers. Just walk away. What did he call him? What did he call? Not teddy bear. What did he call?
He said, yeah, I know, some kind of a
Pooh Bear. I think he called him Pooh Bear or something like that.
Yeah.
Just walk away.
Walk away, Pooh Bear. Walk away.
But even with the writer's strike, they're saying that it's going to be, well, as I wrote this earlier in the week, that it should be finishing up shooting. Like, it may have already ended the shooting in the UK.
Really?
Yeah. So, and we have, I don't know if you have it. Do you have the picture of Deadpool with Wolverine in the yellow suit?
No, I don't have that. But that's,
I texted you that earlier this week, and I'm like, is this real? But everybody's posting it everywhere that it is real. We are going to get Hugh Jackman in the blue and yellow Wolverine, the original suit. So that's
pretty cool.
That's something.
That is something.
It is something.
That makes sense that they're doing a time machine multiverse, because that kind of use Jackman. They can play with that without Jackman having to be committed to something else. He can come in, play, have fun with it, and then can move on
and disappear. And we don't. And he can hang up the claws forever. After that.
Exactly. So I'm sure this is a one-time deal.
Probably. So in DC news, and James Gunn tweeted both of these, so this is pretty much a confirmed deal. Superman Legacy has some new cast members. We are going to see Isabel Merced, I think that's how you pronounce her name, as Hawk Girl. Okay. We are going to see Eddie Gathig, I'm not sure how to pronounce if that's pronounced right, as Mr. Terrific. And we're going to see Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern Guy Gardner.
Nathan Fillion. Okay.
Nathan Fillion, of all people. And one last casting. This was a tweet, I think just today. He tweeted out that the star of a show called of Barry, I'm not familiar with that particular show or movie.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay. Anthony Kerrigan is going to play Metamorpho in Superman Legacy. This is feeling more and more like a Justice League film than a Superman film.
Didn't they made that mistake the last time?
They kind of made that mistake the last time. All I'm saying is, Mr. Gunn, don't jump the gun. Don't go Justice League too early.
You said jump the gun.
All I'm saying.
You said don't jump the gun.
So the last bit I have is partly news and partly what. um, so new trailer for the Ahsoka series. It's coming up in
Ahsoka.
August. Dropped, I think,
Yay!
yesterday.
Yes,
And
yesterday. Oh,
it
it's so
looks
exciting.
really, really good. It
Yes.
really looks great. And Sabine Wren, the Mandalorian, is a
Hmm.
Jedi.
That's it. Comes across that way when she. I don't know. I mean, because nothing from the Rebel series even give any consideration that she was a Jedi, except for the dark
I mean,
saber, which really has nothing to
I
do with. I
well,
mean,
well like
I guess it could be, but I don't know.
so okay. So I have not been a huge Rebels fan. I have not seen the entire series, but
Hmm.
what I've read is so Ezra and Canon did some training with her on how to use the dark saber. But in my brain, that doesn't make you a Jedi.
No, the Mandalorian would be a Jedi then.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's all about the
So,
Force. So,
but it did seem to hint that way.
mhm.
I'm not sure how that's all going to play out.
I'm not for sure either. I mean, maybe it was
I'm
sarcastic,
confused.
Master. I don't know. Who knows what it is? I mean,
Yeah. So, but
it could be
I
anything.
don't have any other big
But this is
news.
like
Do you?
no. It's just that trailer. You can tell that it really took a nod to the entire series of the Rebel because
Yo,
I
absolutely.
mean it is
This
it.
is
And that
this
is
is
the
live
this
action Rebels
Rebels.
season 7, 8. I don't remember how many seasons there
I
were.
don't know
The
either.
original show. This feels like a next season of Rebels.
Yeah, it really does. And somehow they're going to try to fit it within the what they like to call now the Mando universe. So
Yeah,
it'll be really fun to see. Looks really good. I'm excited
it
about it.
does.
So
Yep,
so
absolutely. Me
anyway,
too.
yeah, yeah.
But that's all the happenings of the week that I
Is that
have, unless
all?
you have something else.
No, I don't have anything else to add to that. It sounds like we have that covered, folks. And let's end it.
And that's all for the nerdy happenings of the week.
That guy is so cool who does that. I mean, he has smooth velvet. I, man, just makes me want to get a glass of wine out and have a little fire and never mind. But
Just kick back and
kick back, kick back.
so. Are you ready for some weird and stupid news?
If everybody else is, let's go ahead and start weird and stupid news.
It's the weird and stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Well, this week we're going to talk a lot about what's happening at the zoo. That's right. A lot of things from different corners of the world. A lot of zoo news. I know what you're thinking. Why zoo news? Well, because we probably belong in a zoo, but I'm going to touch on a couple of things. And there's some things
you have made me. Okay, I have to stop you. You have made me think of a Dr. Seuss book called "Put Me in the Zoo."
Yes, right. I should
Sorry.
wear a hat.
Go ahead.
I read the story. No, that's okay. Now, I've never heard of a behavioral husbandry supervisor. Have you?
Behavioral husbandry.
I've heard of husbandry before, but
I've heard of animal husbandry. Behavioral animal husband. I don't know what that means.
Well,
I don't know that I want to know what that means, just because I don't ever really want to know much.
Well, folks, that's what you get here. I mean, that's what we guarantee, not knowing much. So you get your full of nothing here. But yes, in the Toronto Zoo is urging visitors to stop showing gorilla cell phone videos, as some content can be upsetting and even addicting to those primates.
Okay, make sure. Wait,
go ahead.
We're not supposed to take videos of the apes.
You can take videos. You just
take videos.
Yeah, you can't. You have to. You can't show them. You can't. You basically you can't
Why?
show them.
Why? Why? Why would you show an animal a YouTube video on your cell phone?
They're afraid that something might be upsetting or even addictive. But why would you want to? I don't
Why
know.
would you do it in the first place?
Apparently that's a thing from my understanding here. I never thought about showing an animal a video. It's odd, but apparently this is what the Toronto Zoo is addressing.
I mean, some people leave the TV on for their dog.
Yeah, but this is the zoo with the glass, and I don't understand. What can you show them? So anyway, behavioral husbandry supervisor Holly Ross says we just want the gorillas to be able to be gorillas. Okay, well, I understand that.
Okay.
And when I guess, okay. And when our guest comes to the zoo, we want them to be able to see gorillas in their very natural state. You don't. I don't know what else.
Don't we have a GIF for that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what is their natural state anyhow? I mean, are we talking about, I don't know. Oh, there you go.
I mean, that's pretty much their natural state right there.
That's right.
If you're listening on audio, my apologies.
That's right.
Go watch our YouTube video.
Yeah, or don't. You don't want to. Yeah, so apparently now there's newly posted signs requested visitors to refrain from showing the animals any videos or photos, as some content can be upsetting and affect their relationship and behavior with their family.
Okay.
I mean, I don't understand it, but okay, here we go. Supervisor Ross says animals are starting to become distracted or addicted to mobile devices as visitors hold them up against the glass for them to see.
Here, monkey, watch this video of my child opening their Christmas present. What are you going to show them?
I don't know. I totally understand. One gorilla named Nasasser is particularly susceptible. Okay, say that again.
Susceptible.
That's what I just said, didn't I? Susceptible?
Yes, absolutely.
Huh? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, to videos. Nasser is truly the epitome of a teenager, fascinated by videos and screen time, would dominate his life if he had it his way. And I don't understand, but I think what is important is that he just be able to hang out with his brothers and his gorillas. So apparently they have this. It sounds like to me what happens in my house with teenagers. It's almost that issue they have going on.
I mean, I could see that, but
I'm more concerned if they watch certain content, basically, I mean, there is certain content I don't want them to watch, specifically like, I don't know, Planet of the Apes. I don't want them getting any ideas about that, right? I mean, that's the last thing I want them to watch, right?
Why did that did that not pop into my head the minute you started talking about this subject?
I mean, seriously. So now while guests are not encouraged to show them the latest viral TikTok or Instagram posts, the zoo does play videos for gorillas, but Ross says we just want to ensure we know the content. Very much like managing the account of a child, you want to ensure your parental controls are on and that your control of the content they're seeing. So I guess you have to make sure, I guess it has to be like rated G for gorilla. I guess I don't know. So
this is the most bizarre thing.
It's most bizarre, and I think I don't even want to talk about the next one. Let's just end it now.
This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
The other one had to do with parrots, and I didn't want to get into that right now.
Parrots
I think there's
videos.
I think there's so much you can do with zoos right now, so maybe we may save that for another time. But more than anything else, we're going to get into Secret Invasion. Last week, our title was, "Is Gaia really dead?" Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun. And
No,
the question's been answered.
Yes.
No, she's not.
Yeah, I think next week. Now, again, I don't know what particular order we want to talk about. We're just going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about certain things that pop up. I guess the biggest thing reveal is, yes, Gaia is not dead. And apparently, I guess there was a flashback in the beginning where, and I had this feeling that she wasn't going to
scrolled herself.
She super scrolled herself. That's kind of nasty. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even remember what my answer was last week, whether she was dead or not dead. But it didn't really make sense for her to be dead yet.
No, not at this
point. Since she seemed to be playing such an integral role to the series. But
exactly.
But super scrolling herself makes sense. And and now we have clarification that Gravik has also super scrolled himself.
Yes.
Which I was unsure of this because in the episode where he had his hand stabbed and he his hand was sliced in half and it healed, I was a little confused as to whether that was just a scroll ability or if that was a super scroll thing.
Yeah.
So now it seems clear that is only super scroll ability. And Gravik is one now.
Yeah, and apparently, and of course, later on, Nick Fury finds out, surprisingly, himself. I mean, up till now, no one knew except for Garrick, and I guess for a few people within his, let's call it hive, knew about his superpowers. So, so there's a lot going on here, and some questions are answered. I'm particularly, she heals from the power. And she becomes it's almost like the super serum, it's like the super soldier serum, but a
little better. I mean, we've got like Wolverine
healing,
style.
Yes. Yeah, you have some healing abilities. Yeah. From last time, a kind of a cliffhanger, we knew that Priscilla, which is, I guess, Nick Fury's wife in a way, who is also which is a Skrull. Yeah. I mean, that's the relationship they have.
We knew she was a Skrull.
We knew she was a Skrull. So did Nick Fury. And from last week, I guess the conversation she had on the phone, which we heard as Rhodey, Colonel Rhodey. So
then the question was, what's she going to do with the gun? Did she take it to kill Gravik or to kill somebody else? Why did she need the gun?
Exactly.
And now we know because Rhodey basically told her, you have to go kill Fury.
Yeah. If it's not you, it will be someone will come after you. So now what's interesting about this, we do find out that Rhodey is actually not the real Rhodey, which I think is interesting. Well,
I think we already knew that.
We knew that, but what fascinates me, looks like it's a female Skrull. And I don't recognize I don't know who she is.
Yes, it does appear to be a female Skrull, and I don't know if we were supposed to recognize her or not.
I mean, it almost makes
I did not check out IMDb to see. I'm not quite sure why that was. I don't know why that's a thing, or if it matters.
I don't know either. I mean, like I said, I don't really know. I mean, if I'm supposed to recognize her, they did a bad job because I don't have no idea who she is. So
yes, I agree. It is one of those why is it significant that she's a female or not? I don't know that it matters.
I just don't know the character. I mean, who is the character, and why is she the person that's doing the work? Because apparently she's pulling all the punches, especially if she has the ear of the president, playing,
Yeah,
Rhodey. So
she's
that's
definitely
another thing.
somebody who's
And
close to Gravik.
yeah, so, but throughout this conversation, of course, Nick Fury being a cautionary person, I guess he somehow bugs Priscilla. I'm not for sure how he goes about doing it. I don't know if she was, because the next scene I see
Yeah,
him with like an earbud and he's hearing the whole conversation between
yeah,
Rhodey Skrull and Priscilla about,
yeah.
him meeting his demise, to
Yes.
her gun. So, and then which leads to one of my favorite scenes is where you have Nick Fury and Priscilla sitting at a table in their house
Yes.
having a conversation, and with each having their guns next to them on the table.
Yeah.
It it's and then in the process, and I don't know I can't remember some of the conversation. I know there was some quote metaphors and stuff like that,
Yeah, and there
but
was some.
yeah,
Yeah,
some of that
there
in
was
there.
a poem that they read earlier that
Yeah.
that they
Or,
repeated again, which is
yeah, I mean, it's,
you ask are they married? I think they are definitely married.
yeah,
They act they do all the married things. Um,
like shoot at each other, which is a
like
big deal in my house. And they're terrible aims, by the way. I mean,
they are definitely bad shots. They are.
yeah. So
They definitely can. They definitely appear to be stormtrooper level. Now, I think they both missed on purpose there.
I would think so. I would hope so. I mean, so yeah. So we have this dynamic going on, and then we have Gaia, you know, coming to her father Talos, and we even find out that they still don't agree how about going about getting their people a home. And there's
Yeah.
two different ideologies about this. Gaia still
Okay.
has this. Go ahead.
So,
You have,
did
yeah.
you hear it the way I did? That she has been undercover for her dad the whole time.
I didn't pick that up.
Okay, the way I heard it,
Okay.
in the episode, it sounded like I can't remember what exactly she said, but the way she I can't remember what she said now, but the way she said it, it sounded like this was always the plan, was for her to that she went there specifically to infiltrate for him to get information. But
But it changed her. But I
well, okay,
mean,
so okay, I just found it.
okay.
He says, I should never have forced you into this, which
Gotcha.
makes me think.
Okay.
So I guess it could be read one of two ways. I never should have forced you into this, meaning I never should have sent you undercover to begin with.
Yeah.
Or he means, at the point where she does become kind of a double agent,
Yeah.
whether he means that. I never
Yeah.
should have forced you to
Yeah. I caught that.
into this.
I caught that, and I wasn't for sure what that meant. It kind of, and then of course she says, it's that was my decision, not yours. And so,
Right.
and maybe we're supposed
Yeah.
to find out more about it later. I don't know. I mean, it's
Maybe.
interesting now, of course, and I don't know how far we want to jump, but I guess maybe next week, our title is, is Talos really dead? That might be our next thing next
Yes.
week.
For this week. This week's title.
Week.
Is Talos really dead? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I
love, yeah.
That is something that happened at the very end of this episode.
Now, if she does die, if he does die, think about this. So not only Garrick has, you
Gravik.
know, well, Garrick, you know, Garrick is from a game that I like from, okay, anyway, Mass Effects. But anyway, Gravik, he has super abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Gia has super abilities,
Yeah.
and that means she finds out he killed her dad. It's gonna be like a standoff,
Superpower
superpower brawl. So
Super Skrull brawl. Now
I'm
that
kind
could
of
be a
thinking,
thing.
yeah. Now I hope Talos is still alive because I love the actor, I love the character,
I do too.
But they already killed, Hill already. So,
Right.
but I don't know. Talos is just a talented. I mean, the actor is talented. I love Ben
Mm-hmm.
Mendelsohn, so I'm hoping that somehow he comes back. Or maybe they think, maybe, okay, we can't only have so many people come back to life here. So we have a quota. Okay.
Yeah.
But my biggest disappointment, I have not seen enough of Olivia Colman.
Yeah, there was no Olivia Colman this week. I'm
And
disappointed.
so, yeah, I mean, but anyway, trying to get ahead of myself. One of a good scene. Oh, the scene where Nick Fury breaks into Rhodey's house, and he sits there.
Yeah, his hotel
Rhodey's
room.
apartment, a hotel room, and they come out, sit down. They have this kind of this, this coy conversation, and I
The
yeah,
the
did you
best line is there's a scroll really close to the president. How close?
close?
As close as you
Yeah.
and I right now.
Now,
So, and he already knows he's a scroll. So, are we absolutely just talking about Rhodey being the scroll? Is that
yeah,
just the reveal that he is that Nick Fury is basically just telling Skrull Rhodey, I know you're a Skrull. So let's drop this whole charade. But he
yeah.
doesn't drop the charade.
No, he doesn't.
So they just go on their merry way.
So I couldn't figure that out, and I wondered if that was a situation where, well, does Fury really know? But boy, that's kind of a concrete. That's a very definite, statement to make.
He definitely knows he's a Skrull
because he listens in. Yeah,
he listened to the conversation
yeah,
where
no,
Rhodey
exactly.
said, "Go kill him."
Yeah, go kill him.
I mean,
As Rhodey,
Rhodey, but I mean, now okay, but yes, as Rhodey. But my take on that is Rhodey definitely is the kind of guy who could fly out and fire you for the president.
yeah.
But I don't think Rhodey's the kind of guy that would say assassinate you.
No, he wouldn't do that. And the thing is that, I think that's the thing. Don Cheadle, he's playing a great villain. Okay.
He is.
I mean, he is very convincing. I mean, the scene where he's in the church on the pew next to Priscilla, it was like, man, he was just cold hearted, and he was just very menacing, and did it with just suave in a sophisticated way, and it's just like it was nothing. And so it was a side of Don Cheadle I have not seen before in the Marvel universe, and I thought, man, that's really good. He's really portraying this, So where in the beginning it was almost like, okay, yeah, he's kind of being a jerk, but he's doing the president's bidding, that type of stuff. So
right.
So I can kind of see that, but yeah, and of course too, they already had Nick Fury set up on a video somehow. I guess they did a reenactment in Russia where he killed somebody on the square. He had a video,
oh no, that was Gravik killing. That is Gravik killing Mara Hill.
Yeah, but they transposed
But
Nick
no,
Fury as
I had to. Okay, so I had to go back and watch the first episode again, and I did. So in the first episode, Gravik temporarily takes on Nick Fury's
being his persona,
and that's how he gets Mara Hill. And that's how he gets Mara Hill to come to him so he can shoot her.
Okay.
And then as he walks off, he turns back into Gravik.
Okay,
so,
I got that.
You know, so we'll conveniently only have the surveillance video of Nick Fury shooting Mara Hill.
Man, wish there was a multiverse. They could change that like they did in The Flash.
I don't know. She could always come back from Tahiti.
That's true. Is a magical place.
It is a magical place. So, did you? Are you a wrestling fan at all?
My dad was growing up, so
I was a wrestling fan in the 80s, and the early 90s, and so I didn't. Although I know about all the other later wrestling people, they weren't my thing. But when Skrull Rhodey is talking to Priscilla, and he talks about he throws all these wrestling comments into the conversation about how he fired fired Fury. I think it is hysterical.
Oh yeah,
that it was Undertaker level stuff.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was like he was really stoked about what he did, and he made it very clear that he was proud of it.
Yeah, I thought that was hysterical. And if we have any wrestling fans out there, I'm sure you will enjoy that scene. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was good too. We'll get to the point where Rhodey meets the president at the airport. They, and what's, the scene is that I guess, him and Nick Fury, Rhodey was drinking earlier, and, the president comes down, he smells his breath, and he said, man, you need to give this guy some coffee, which I thought was kind of odd. It was kind of did you think that little dialogue was kind of odd, by the way? Or
I thought that was funny.
Did you?
I don't know if odd is the right word, but it's obvious that he drank a lot more after Fury left.
Yeah.
Than he did, sitting there with Fury.
Yeah.
Like when he took the bottle in that scene,
he sat down on the couch.
He went and finished that bottle. So that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit interesting, their interaction.
Yeah.
And, but I think in the scenario, it makes sense. The president is the only one that can really call you out, Rhodey.
Yeah.
And the president just called you out for being drunk on the job.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Skrulls can get drunk, but, but that was funny. That was kind of an interesting little tidbit. Now, I do want to kind of jump ahead here. This is President Riston. I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because we have confirmed that in upcoming films, Thunderbolts, that we will have President Thunderbolt, General President Thunderbolt Ross as the President of the United States.
Yeah, because he couldn't make it at Indiana Jones, so now he's going to play General President. I don't mean that. I love Indiana Jones.
So I'm interested. I'm curious whether this is going to be one of those, we are definitely killing off Riston in this series so that we have a reason to have a General Ross step up as president, or if this is just one of those, this is the president today, that movie is far enough in the future that we can say there was an election and General Ross was elected president.
Or vice president.
Or vice president and steps, there's so many options there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm curious whether Riston is going to survive this season. I kind of feel like he's not. And that could be the reason Thunderbolt Ross steps into the power vacuum as president.
I hadn't thought about that, but we all know we already know that dotted line has been signed by Harrison Ford to make some of that Marvel money now. So
yep. It's already been confirmed that is what's going to happen. Now, with that in mind, and I don't know if we'll go any further with the Skrulls, but if that's the case, if Riston doesn't survive, do the Skrulls have a homeland if the president is Thunderbolt Ross, who pretty much doesn't like anybody with green skin?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, as we led to earlier, that Talos was shot while trying to save the president. There was a big skirmish. The president, motorcade was attacked with and while, Rhodey was basically the instrument for that and helped Gravik, I was making sure I wasn't, yeah, exactly.
So did you follow that? So back to the scene where they're drinking. And the whole time, Rhodey Skrull is questioning whether or not this alcohol is legit, whether he's being poisoned.
Yeah.
They're also having the conversation where there's a Skrull really close to the president, as close as you and me. Basically, Fury saying, "I know you're a Skrull." Okay. Yeah. And Fury also says, "Poison? No way. Nanotech now." And then, of course, the alcohol is laced with nanotech so that they can track Rhodey. Liquid tracker.
Liquid tracker. I know. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that scene. Yes, that's right. When he had
not only did Fury say to Rhodey Skrull, "I know you're a Skrull," he also just straight up told him, "Yeah, I put something in your drink. It's nanotech." And I think Rhodey Skrull simply thinks he's too good.
Yeah.
I think Rhodey Skrull's going to get a bullet through his brain from Gravik at some point.
Oh,
because he thinks he's too slick.
Yeah.
He thinks he's got it all together, and he definitely does not.
Well, we have to keep in mind, Skrull Rhodey is actually a female Skrull, and we don't know how, what in relationship she is to the organization. So it's almost hard to differ between the two because, because mainly what we're seeing most of it is Rhodey. So it's kind of difficult to get, you have to think, okay, there's actually another character there, actually a real character, if you want to call it that, which is the Skrull. So
what relationship does she really have with Gravik?
And where is Rhodey, by the way? Is he in one of those pods?
I assume he's in a pod.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know
what else. By the way, we do have a name for the female Skrull. Okay. I just looked up IMDb. Rava. Raava.
Rava.
So it's funny. On IMDb, we have Don Cheadle, Rhodey. Nisha Alaya, I may be butchering that name. Rhodey Skrull. Rhodey Skrull / Rava. Yeah. So it has both names, Rhodey Skrull, Rava. So that is interesting. That is officially in the IMDb. We'll have to see how far that one goes up the line.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting. Interesting. We see the character of I don't know what I'm going to call him. Gravik. Okay, good. I can't get the other one out of my head. Basically, it's a character in Mass Effect video game, Garrick. I can't get Garrick out of my head. Okay, so if you hear Garrick people listening to me on the podcast, just assume I'm talking about Gravik. Okay, it's maddening trying to keep these names together. So anyway, Gravik, we see what kind of leader he is, because during the fight, did you notice while his people were still there fighting, he hops on a motorcycle and takes off?
Yes.
I mean, that says something about his character.
Yeah, if he knows he's in a losing battle, he's going to bail.
Yeah, and so he leaves those that he's indoctrinated behind and just be massacred because the tide turned.
Yeah,
and of course, in the situation, we go back to Talos, who, you know, I guess they were trying to say the president. Skrulls do have this stronger ability, this greater strength than normal humans, and so, you know, if you know anything about, I don't know what they call it, the Beast. It's whatever the president's car is that he drives in. There's a bulletproof, you know, very thick glass that can take, you know, almost heavy projectiles.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's spending the whole time trying to break it, and he's cracking it a little bit at a time. And that's when he gets shot again, because, you know, he gets shot and by Gravik. But there was another scene while Nick Fury was taking the president out to safety to his car. There was a soldier that apparently you thought was on their side, and basically it was just Gravik, and in that standoff, you know, Gravik was shot. Not really shot; he was stabbed. Was he stabbed, or was he stabbed with his ability?
He was shot earlier.
Yes,
and then Gravik stabbed him. Yes.
Okay.
He was shot in the shoulder, which probably wasn't a killing blow.
No, but it did affect his disguise, affect his human skin, because in that process he slowly shifted back to a Skrull, and that's when they thought,
so he was definitely in enough pain that it was an issue.
Yeah. So I don't know what, you know, I'm looking at all of this, and it's interesting that you brought up the Thunderbolts and thinking about, you know, General Ross and, and, you know, what's going to happen with this president. Is this, you know, what is the show leading up to? You know, what is going to happen? I mean, part of me, I was thinking, okay, so what's the current president's name, by the way? It's President
Riston, I think.
Riston. So President Riston, you know, realizes, maybe, you know, he realizes that Nick Fury saves him. Nick Fury, you know, lets him know, if the president, you know, if his memory is not jogged, that, hey, you were saved by a Skrull.
Yes, and that was my exact thought. The whole time I was like, okay, the president's going to see or gather that Skrulls saved his life, and that's going to give Talos the in to ask the president for a permanent home for the million Skrulls. And I was like, okay, that's a perfect fit. Let's see that happen. Then we see Talos die while the president is knocked out. So, I'm not sure how we're going to play that. Definitely Fury will tell him. Whether he will believe him is the second question.
That's true.
But you know, if Rhodey Skrull plays any part of it,
well, you still have to deal with him.
Well, if Rhodey Skrull gets killed in front of the president by somebody like Gaia, then we might be back to, okay, we got a shot at this. I'm not sure how all that's going to play out, but I do feel like you're right, or when you said earlier, if Talos is dead, then Gaia and Gravik are going to come to blows.
Yeah.
Now this would be a good match. Gaia and Gravik versus Priscilla and Rhodey Skrull.
Okay,
those would be the two matchups that I can see happening pretty easily. You know, Rhodey Skrull definitely has the president and Nick Fury. He's got it all under control. he's ready to blow Fury away. Priscilla comes in and saves the day by killing Rhodey Skrull. Gravik has something going on where this is going to be the big bad thing that happens that's going to set the world on fire, and Gaia comes in and defeats Gravik at the last moment. I think that's I feel like that's a high probability of happening, both of those.
Well, you can tell how much Gravik hates. I mean, think about it. You in this one particular scene, we see how much Gravik hates Fury with a passion that in the scene where they're trying to convince that they are Russians attacking the president, you know, Gravik decides that, you know, the heck with it. I'm going to change my form and I'm going to show my superpowers in all of this.
Yeah.
And so he gives that away, you know, that, hey, you know, I have superpowers.
Did you notice he was looking very Groot-like?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
That was very Groot power-esque.
Yeah.
Which
yeah, it was.
I think I get why they went there. You know, we talked about this, I don't remember if it was last episode or the first two episodes. I mentioned that Super Skrull, traditionally in the comics, has superpowers, but primarily has imitated the Fantastic Four, where like there's this one image that I have in my brain of a Super Skrull, and it's like one of his legs is invisible, one of his arms is stretching and on fire, and one of his fists looks like the Thing, you know, so he's using like all the Fantastic Four powers all at the same time. But we don't have Fantastic Four in universe yet.
Yeah.
So if they're going to give him a superpower, they're going to give him a superpower that most of the Marvel fans have seen.
Yeah.
And what's the most obvious one to give him? Well, let's give him Groot, because that'll be like, oh, it's Groot, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why they made that decision. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't go for flame power or a big orange rocky fist, or
something like
something
that.
or just stretchy power and have him, you know, choke him out just with a stretchy arm. You know, any of those things could have made sense as well, but I understand why they went with the Groot thing.
Yeah,
because most of the other, let's be honest, most of the superheroes, they don't have a form that sets them apart for their superpower. I mean, if you have, you know, if you have, you know, all of the Avengers lined up, outside of Hulk, they all kind of basically look the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they use their powers, and then they're just variations. Like, you know, you've got magical powers, or you've got super strength, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But they all kind of look the same. So Groot was probably the only real answer to that.
Definitely. If you didn't see the resemblance, then you're not familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxies.
Exactly.
But, so and of course, you know, and I don't know, I really liked this episode. I thought was well done. I liked it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
we're finally into the action.
Yes, and
we're past the halfway point now. We're into the action.
We got 2 more episodes to go, right? It's a total of 6.
Yep. Total
of
6.
And we're on episode 4. So, you know, now that we've kind of talked about everything, perusing the net, I'm surprised how some critics, like I'm going to mention, you know, IGN and some of these others, you know, maybe Screen Rant, just some of these other other publications are kind of knocking the series, and I don't understand why, because I'm really enjoying it, and personally I think it's one of the better series that I've seen on Disney Plus. I mean, honestly, prior to this, one of my favorite series was Moon Knight, which totally
Yeah.
shocked me. I thought, wow, what a great performance, and so now it's like, man, this is really good. And Nick Fury holds his own. And it's a great cast of people, and so I don't know. I'm really disappointed with some of the negativity that's out there, and I don't know. I mean, am I the only one that's seeing that?
I don't think you're the only one seeing that. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Part of it, I think, is they write these, and I don't take time to read them. So I don't know if they're going episode by episode, continuing to complain, or if it's, we're 4 episodes in. I watched the first 1.5. Yeah, it's just okay. And you and I have talked about this before. These are not traditional episodic shows, and they are more like a movie you have to watch in multiple sittings that you're forced to wait week to week.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you think through this, we are about to enter Act 3.
Yeah.
Or depending on your take, depending on your preferences, maybe we're on the last third. Next episode will be the last third of Act 2. Because a lot of people will say, film theory, Act 1 is kind of short, Act 2 is long, Act 3 is short. Or Act 1 and 2 are about equal, and then Act 3 is a shorter act.
Yeah.
So either the beginning of the next episode is the start of Act 3, or we're going to finish Act 2, and then the beginning of episode 4 or episode 6 will be Act 3. But I feel like that's where we're at. We're at we finally gotten to the big action scene.
Yeah, I think we're at the pinnacle where things are going to start wrapping up. I think, if Talos is really dead, then you're going to see a revenge, type of scenario happening. I mean, everything's going to start, everything's going to start hitting the fan in the next couple episodes. So,
I think this is a deal where early reviews are not as trustworthy in my estimation. If this was more like Rebels, where Rebels is mostly episodic, or Bad Batch. Bad Batch was very episodic.
Oh yeah, it was.
Most episodes you could watch an episode and you're done.
It
had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end.
And it had an end.
If you didn't watch the next episode, you may or may not. It may or may not matter. If you skipped an episode, you might miss a little something in the big story arc, but you're not really going to miss a whole lot.
Yeah, definitely.
In this, if you miss an episode, the whole thing will never make sense.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole thing will never make sense until you've seen the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. I mean, this is one of those shows like WandaVision, you just cannot miss an episode or you're going to be totally lost.
Yeah.
And so, and I think you can come into this. I mean, again, most mainstream people, and I think this is the problem, right? The mainstream fans who don't really follow comics or the lore, they're all used to the superheroes, the Avengers, just the incredible strength and superpowers. And in this one, there's really none of that except what we see with the
we're
Super
just starting
Skrulls,
to see a little bit of
some of that
superpowers.
But and I don't see anybody coming in from anything from the Avengers showing up on this thing. I don't. I think,
and honestly, I don't want to see.
I don't want to, because I think Gaia is probably going to be the. the hero in this could be, as
I
far
think
as a
so.
superpower.
I think so, and I think that would be good. Like, I honestly, I don't even want to see real Rhodey show up in an Iron Patriot or whatever a war machine, I guess is what
War
we call
Machine.
him
I
now.
don't either.
Yeah, I don't really want to see him show
Yeah.
up as a war machine. I want him to wake up at the end and go, "What
What
happened over the
happened?
last few months?"
Yeah. And I
You
can see
know?
that happening if he's in one of those pods.
Yeah,
That's probably the scene I could see where he's trying to figure out what's going on and why is he in
because
this chamber.
he's
Yeah.
gonna be. Oh, let's be honest. The real Rhodey is going to be left with this mess, and Nick
Yes.
Fury is going to disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm done.
Yep, thanks. I saved the world. I'm out of here.
So what is next? I mean, you still have the I forget the name of the ship in space. You still have that.
Yeah,
The
Sword is the name of the.
sword
I
like
don't remember
that.
what the ship's called, but I think Sword is the name of the organization. It's kind
So
of
you
Shield in space.
Yeah, which I guess Nick Fury is supposed to be, or at one time ahead of.
At least
I
attached
mean,
to.
attached to it,
I didn't quite follow all that.
because that's one main
That has
reason the
been a little
president
confusing.
was because the president was upset that that president was upset that Fury was on Earth and he was needing to be up there to make things go smooth as possible,
Yeah,
because it was apparently, I guess, a Earth defense.
yeah. You're
Which
probably right. That
so I'm
makes
not.
sense.
So I don't know. I'm just curious what's going to happen after that. Um, but what do you think the series? And I guess it's too early to say. It's probably will have to be the last show that we talked about. But I'm in my mind and thinking of production and thinking of what's happening in film. I'm trying to think to myself, because every series leads to something. Marvel series
It does
leads,
tend to lead to something.
and so what this will lead to, I think we'll find out more in the next couple of episodes.
I think so, but
But
I kind of feel like, I mean,
you feel
just
like this
looking
is
at the upcoming slate,
that's what I
I
mean.
don't feel like it doesn't really fit into the multiverse thing.
No, it doesn't.
And it feels like if they tried, that would be kind of shoehorning it in.
Yeah.
Um, maybe Thunderbolts. That could be a thing. It could
But
lead into Thunderbolts, and that could play into, does Riston survive this season?
when is that film? I mean, what's the production on it? That's the
It's
problem.
quite a ways off, I think,
That's what I mean.
but I don't know what else it would point to.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be. I'm trying to
Because
think
even
of the
because the
slate.
next stream,
Like, the Marvels is coming up, but maybe it could point to that because Fury was part of Captain Marvel, but
the beginning, but
and the Skrulls did play a part in
yeah.
the Skrull Kree War was part of the original Captain Marvel, but I don't know enough about what the Marvels is supposed to be about
Yeah, me neither.
to say. Oh man, I like the lady who plays Monica Rambeau, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want Monica Rambeau to show up and save the day.
No, I don't either.
I want Gaia and Fury and Priscilla, maybe. I want them to save the day.
Yeah.
I don't want some superpowered superhero to show up at the last minute and
Mm-hmm.
Deus ex machina and save the day.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
I think that would be a letdown on how good the season has been so far.
Oh, I agree. I think I would be happy if they just leave the characters as they are and not introduce. I mean, you may be able to introduce something in the post credits. That's fine with me. Maybe that's something that kind of, is kind of a type and shadow of what's going to come after this. But as far as bringing in a mighty superhero, like like Captain Marvel or someone like that coming in and saving the day takes away from takes away from the talent. It would take away from the talent, or actually the abilities of the characters that's already been established on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you on that. It's Gaia, Priscilla, maybe. I can see these characters being the heroes with the powers taking on the villains with the powers, and so.
Well, and just a quick checking the like the Marvels. I mentioned the Marvels. Just really quick, I looked up what's supposed to be the synopsis. Doesn't fit with this at all.
It didn't look like the trailer didn't look that way either.
No. Yeah, now, I could go back to what I said earlier. Marvel. I could see this lead into the Thunderbolts, just because, and that's not even a direct link, really. That's more of a, if the president dies, we have a reason to have Thunderbolt Ross become president.
Yeah.
And not, so that's not even a real super solid direct link. That's more of a post-credit scene kind of deal.
Yeah.
But, I don't, and I could see that. That could easily be a post-credit. And that this season doesn't actually lead to anything.
Yeah. So one thing we have to ask ourselves before we sign off, are we missing anything important like we did the first time around? Because, I want to make sure that we don't forget the most obvious.
Like the fact that that we wanted to ask the question as to whether or not Nick Fury knew his wife was a Skrull. And we forgot.
We answered it on the next show knowing what the answer is, but
I mean, we talked about female Rhodey Skrull.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it all.
We talked about the president. We talked about Talos dying.
Talos is dying. I'm just trying to keep it lively here.
We've got we've got 2 Super Skrulls now. I don't think we missed anything. We
didn't. I think we did important. A fantastic
job. It all.
I think we did.
I guess the big question is, I guess the only lingering, real, unanswered question is,
yes,
do Priscilla and Fury, are they still really married? Or was that kind of a divorce? When he walked out the door. When he walked out the door,
do we need to renew our vows?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need to renew our vows or if we're getting divorced. I think that's an interesting question.
What's going to happen there?
If we see Priscilla get killed off, that could be a tragic moment for Fury. And that could be a reason to drive him off planet again.
Yeah. Because I know when I'm having a hard time, I try to get off the planet as much as I can. And speaking of getting off the planet, I have nothing else to offer.
I don't either, man.
I'm
so ready for next week's episode.
I am too. We could talk about it all night and make all kinds of predictions, but
I haven't been this excited about the next episode of any show probably in the last year and a half or more.
Oh, I know. I've been enjoying more this. Than this. Yeah. And I think once this is done, I probably would want to binge watch it to see it as a complete movie.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's worth doing.
I think it's one of these series that you can watch and you'll pick up on some things that you did not notice the first time.
Oh,
because there's a lot that's happening in this. And not Easter eggs. I'm just talking about the stuff that's happening. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, folks, you can always get our podcast, audio or video, on speakingnerdy.com. We also have,
Absolutely.
You can also go to youtube.com/speakingnerdy. We please, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We're also on the Facebooks, and we're also on Instagram. I don't have anything else. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so, man. I think it's time.
Okay, it's time. Let's hit it.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Pope. Well,
it was a show.
It was a show. I wonder if Talos dead.
I don't know.